Kind of a bummer. And get the brace in here. All right, let's check out the new parts that we got for the Integra. We got an ASR subframe brace and Swaybar kit. I've not even got the chance to open this thing yet, so you guys will get a first look with me. Got a free shirt with this. We'll get this unboxed and show you guys what this looks like. Got the hardware, more hardware, and last but not least, all right guys, that's everything unboxed for this kit. Looks like you get the Swaybar, you get a couple of these winglets here. I don't know what they're called, but I'm going to go ahead and call them winglets until we find out otherwise. Here's the subframe brace itself. You can see it's marked DA and ES specifically. Of course, you get the hardware included. This kit right here comes with hardware exclusive to this chassis, of course. And then you get a bunch of pretty beautiful looking pieces of hardware here. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get the Integra pulled up and then get this install going. All right guys, for this subframe brace, it calls for a little bit of pre-assembly before the installation here. So we'll go ahead and get the subframe brace itself and these two brackets pre-assembled just loosely per the instructions. I cheated, I already kind of took a look at the instructions here to get the tools that we need ready to go. So we'll go ahead and dump out this hardware. Per the instructions, we'll go ahead and use these Allen head bolts to pre-assemble these brackets to the subframe brace. It does say to just loosely assemble all of this stuff, so we'll just go ahead and do it hand tight. Everything goes on pretty smoothly. That's the driver's side. That is the passenger side. Alright guys, we just finished the pre-assembly process for the subframe brace. where we install the brace itself to the two brackets that are provided. The hardware provided, I think, is pretty slick and pretty commonplace now, but it utilizes these Allen head bolts here to recess into the brace and bracket, leaving a cleaner look overall. One thing I did notice about this kit after going through the hardware is that there is no new hardware provided for the D brackets that go into the brackets themselves. Kind of a bummer. With such a new kit, we definitely want new pieces of hardware going in. I know, purely cosmetic. We'll probably head to AutoZone or O'Reilly's to pick up some M8 bolts to cover off on that. Gonna head to O'Reilly's. Freezing. Alright guys, take the R to O'Reilly's real quick. Put you guys on my little mount. Not many sunny days in the Pacific Northwest. Definitely take advantage of any sunny day to get in the Civic and drive it around. Alright, well, the camera fell, so sorry about that. Looks like we got what we needed. I'm gonna head back home and see if the stuff works out. That's a super cool Tacoma. Alright guys, just got back from O'Reilly's. I couldn't find the individual packs, unfortunately, of the MA hardware that we needed, but I ended up buying much more than I wanted to buy. Never hurts to have metric bolts available when you're working on Hondas though. Also ended up buying some thread locker, blue type for this project. So we'll go ahead and get in the garage and get this thing going. Got this thing jacked up. You see the axle back is a little bit in the way. I'm gonna go ahead and just remove it just to get this install going a little bit easier. Definitely a lot more room to work with the axle back removed here. You can see the original Swaybar here. It's pretty small. I don't know what size it is exactly, but much different from what we're gonna be putting in this car. So should notice a pretty significant difference with this thing installed. Taking off the wheel definitely gives you much better access. It's just one of those situations where you don't want to remove more stuff, but you might as well just to give you better access. We'll go ahead and remove this bolt right here on both sides to get this old sway bar removed. Got both of those OEM in links disconnected. Looks like they were 14 mil bolts. Gonna try to drop this entire assembly by removing these two bolts from the brackets on both sides. All right, let's get the other side. Too old to be crawling around the ground here. Need to lift. Cool, we got that entire piece out, our entire Swaybar assembly out in one piece. That was the easy part. Here's the chaos. It's a carnage of all of this work so far.
Hello.
Say hi.
Hi.
That's my oldest boy there, bothering me while I pursue my YouTube journey.
Really? Okay.
All right, that's what we have it looking like right now. As you can see, looks pretty bare bones right now, pretty dirty down here. I guess the next step is to get those bolts right there on the lower control arm removed, and then get the Swaybar brace and brackets themselves installed. Loud noises. It's a little wrench trick here. All right, we got our brace here, 2 new pieces of hardware here. I forget where I bought these, to be honest with you. I think they're Dorman pieces. I'm trying to get you guys a better angle here. It's like this brace sits like that. Excuse me while I clear up some of this old ABS hardware here, leftover stuff. All right, well, that's gotta get punched in here. So, cool. Much more smoothly. Cool. We're just gonna snug these down a little bit. I lose my socket. Where did my socket go? Got no socket. All right, socket acquired. Snug it down. So we got these lower control arm bolts back in and just snug down. Really, I mean, everything right here is still pretty loose. The instructions do call to just keep this stuff loose. We're gonna go ahead and get our paint pen and mark our holes right here, and then take this bracket back off for drilling. The wife in the garage as I'm trying to be YouTube famous here. I went and bought this paint pen here to mark those holes so we can go ahead and get those holes drilled. Get this centered as much as possible. Looks pretty good. This one's a little bit trickier. We got the B pipe here kind of running into the way of our pen here, but we'll get this marked. Let's check this out. Can't really see it. Terrible lighting here, terrible angle, but it is marked. We'll go ahead and get started with a little bit smaller of a bit here just to get it started, and then we'll move over to the 3/8 bit that I have, which is the closest thing to a 10 mil. This is a pretty tricky area to get a drill in. I'm hitting up against this filler tube right here with my drill. Because I think I'm gonna have to go through the trunk after I drill these guide holes right here and actually drill from the trunk outward. This side definitely has much more clearance than the other side. Here's our trunk situation here. Let's see where those holes are coming out of. Ah, okay. So you can see right there. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is drilling those holes right there all the way through with my 3/8 bit from the trunk. Those holes drilled out there, I got a bit of cleaning up to do. I have the hardware here. We're gonna test fit one of the holes. Yeah, looks like it goes in just fine. Probably just a little bit loose. Maybe we'll get something to clean up those shavings a little bit better. Get my step stool here so I can get into the trunk. It's a bit high for me. Short people problems. Get this cleaned up a little bit. Get to the driver's side over here. All right guys, quick update here. We did get the holes drilled out, cleaned up. As you can see, there's quite a bit of bare metal, obviously, from drilling. So I'm gonna hit it with some Rust-Oleum paint. I'm gonna put some tape on the back side, kind of underneath the wheel well there. Got those holes painted. Got some of the excess wiped off. We should be able to get going once these dry a little bit. Blair Witch Project update here. We got the holes drilled and painted. Paint's pretty much dry. So now we can go ahead and get this ASR Subframe brace and bracket installed. You kind of have to leave all of this pretty loose before you install or enable to install the D brackets in a Swaybar. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that in place but loose. Now let's move on to getting the D brackets installed onto the Swaybar itself, and then get this thing going. Out with the old, in with the new. So these D brackets are directional. There's a little arrow on these which points to which way it should be pointing towards, which direction it should be pointing towards to the outside of the car. I did a terrible job explaining that, but there are much better how-to videos than mine. Lube from Energy Suspension here to lube up these parts here and then get these D brackets installed onto the Swaybar. Insert blur feature here. See that little arrow right there? We're gonna install it pointing outward. We got our lubed D bracket gasket here, or D bracket bushing. Okay, so now there's a little groove in here, so you can't install this incorrectly. That goes into the bushing itself. All right, that's one. Let's get the other one going. Same thing for this bracket, directional. Go ahead and install it, point it that way. I did that incorrectly. You can see this in the blooper reel here. All right, so the lip, as you can see, I added a little bit too much there. The lip goes towards the outside, so don't make the same mistake that I just made. And there we go. Cool. Well, this thing's heavy. We'll go ahead and get this mounted up. Okay, that's one. You know what they should really make is mechanic pillows for your neck while you're doing this. That would be awesome. I guess creepers have them. We got it. D brackets installed. Gotta go check the torque specs for them so we can torque them down to spec. All right, guys, did a little bit of thinking. Before I go ahead and mount these backing plates, I'm gonna add a little bit of Honda Bond to this backing plate. We do live in the Pacific Northwest, so it rains 9 months out of the year, if not more. Just a bit of a water seal guarantee there. Get these back on here without dropping those bolts. That would be great. I don't think the Honda bonding is absolutely necessary. Just a little bit of a guarantee. Let's get this thing torqued down. No, hold on.
What am I doing wrong?
Hold on. Here. What? Okay, what you're doing is you're not ratcheting it. So like, so it's a little bit loose. So you kind of have to like hold this end and kind of ratchet it. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Okay. Now we're gonna do it to the other side. Now we're gonna do it to the other side too. All right. Can we stop? It's spinning? It shouldn't be spinning at all. Are you using the right wrench? You're not using the right wrench.
Oh, you're supposed to hold it with the wrench?
What are you, what? Are you holding over your hands? You can't. What the heck? There's a wrench. I thought you grabbed the wrench. You're holding over your finger. Oh, that's definitely going in. Okay, can't believe you. You're like, how are you holding it? My hands hurt. All right, that's it. After a couple of bloopers there, we got the brackets mounted and torqued to 19 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead and get the rest of this brace torqued. The brace itself uses these hex heads here. It's like it's a 6 mil, and the torque spec, they are also 19 foot-pounds for these guys here. All right, so you kind of have to hold this one back here. It's kind of a nut and bolt situation here. All right, 19. We'll go ahead and seat these all first. Let's go ahead and get these D brackets torqued to spec. Let's check our paper. Well, it doesn't look like ASR provides a torque spec for the D brackets for this particular chassis. I did look at good old trusty Honda Tech, and I'm reading that the D bracket is 20 foot-pounds. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm gonna go ahead and go with that. We are all torqued down, the entire bracket and brace system. The last thing that we got to torque down is just these lower control arm bolts. We'll go ahead and preload the suspension before we do that. All right guys, it's the next day. After getting everything torqued down, decided to call it a night. Let's go ahead and get this install finished by installing the Swaybar end links. I definitely recommend just checking out their YouTube video on how to set up these end links. Paper instructions I found were a little bit confusing. We got one pre-assembled. Now let's get the other one. Let's go get these installed onto the sway bar itself. Per the instructions on ASR's YouTube video, this bolt is going to thread to the middle hole of the lower control arm. We'll get it started by hand and then use our ratchet to seat it. Cool. Back it off a little bit. It looks like we're pretty far off on the end link, so we're gonna have to swing this sway bar down a little bit further. All right, let's pull this down. Pulling the sway bar itself down. to meet up with the in-link here. Let's get our bolt going. You would think that the nylon lock nut would utilize the same socket size, but apparently it does not. So be right back. Back with the proper tools here. All right, guys, that's it for this install. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was another long form one, but it's hard to compress 4, 5, 6 hours of video recording and working on a car into a 10-20 minute video. I definitely appreciate the longer form content, especially for these older chassis where we get very little coverage. I hope you guys stick around to the next video where we do a comparison video of the HKES exhaust system that I just got in versus the Revel Medallion exhaust system that I currently have on the car. Both you can still buy brand new, which is getting more rare nowadays. Hope to see you guys in the next one.